Chapter 255, Photography Expert. Huddled in the cupboard, Klein secretly activated his spirit vision and saw two interfering auras enter. "Erica, I brought you a present," a deep voice sounded as the door closed. As expected, Hez a gentleman of the Lone Kingdom. Even in an affair, he seems a little old-fashioned. If it was a man from Intis, he would definitely be shouting sweetheart, baby, angel, and the like. Klein couldn't help but lampoon. Of course, this was based on the stereotypes from newspapers, magazines, and novels. Erica Taylor asked in surprise, "Let me guess, is it Fastman eye cream, face cream, or essence? Or shyness? What the heck are all those?" Klein was stunned by what he heard. It was clear that Dorgu Gale wasn't able to react in time either. It took him about 8 seconds before he said, "No, stockings." In this world, since oil hasn't been discovered, there were no corresponding cheap chemical products. Therefore, silk stockings were considered high-class items. "Not bad. Let me take a look." Erica's joy didn't diminish. "I bought them yesterday at Phillips. 1 pair for 30 solely, a total of 5 pairs, Dorgu said in a flaunting tone. "How expensive?" "That's expensive." Erica and Klein both said the same thing, one exclaiming, the other secretly sighing. Benson has worked for so many years, earning only £1 10 solely a week, which is 30 solely. That's just equivalent to a pair of stockings, and with that salary, he was able to provide his brother and sister with an education, feed them fairly well, and even provided them with a place to sleep. An average worker with a bit of skill would only be paid around 20 solely a week. Klein clicked his tongue. "No, it's not expensive. Silk stockings are worth that much. I even gave an extra tip of 5 solely." As he spoke, the color of his aura turned more vivid, and Klein guessed that he had taken off his coat. "Then I'll give it a try," Erica Taylor softly said in a suggestive manner. "I feel like I'm watching a porno again, and it's even a live broadcast besides." Miss Bodyguard is also here. The corner of Klein's mouth twitched as he watched red colors flowing across red colors, signifying the passion between the two was igniting like fire. The purple color is almost red and isn't stopping red wrapped around green, orange while listening to the wheezing and the low laughter. Klein judged the movements and positions of the couple outside by the change in the color of their auras. Feeling that this was enough, Klein silently pushed open the cupboard door and looked in the direction of the bed. Dorgu and Erica were already entangled, their clothes half undone, their movements intense. Klein lifted the spectral camera and aimed it at the passionate couple, waiting to see their faces at the same time. As Dorgu and Erica fell back onto the bed, Klein finally captured the most appropriate frame and pressed the shutter button. The click of the camera wasn't distinct, and the intense flash and other abnormalities were limited to a very small area, so the couple wasn't alarmed. With no confidence in his photography skills, Klein added a few more shots, intending to have options to choose from later. He was only planning on handing his employer a single picture, because too many photos would make the lawyer suspect why the couple didn't notice him taking the picture. A piece of underwear landed lightly on the floor, and the sound of breathing intensified as Klein grabbed his portable camera and adeptly rolled out of the cupboard, closing the door behind him. He rolled on the floor until he reached the lounge's door. Then, he quietly pulled it open and returned to the corridor. Done. With a sigh of relief, Klein politely closed the door in silence, pressed his hand to his chest, and bowed in the direction of the bed. Without further ado, he returned to his lounge. "The last £7 will soon be obtained, and I also earned an additional Quaylog Club membership worth £50. It covers board, lodging, and entertainment that's worth even more than £50. Without any connections or contacts, I wouldn't have been able to join this even with £100. This mission isn't bad at all. It's simple, safe, and profitable Klein put down his portable camera and sighed with emotion in his heart. At that moment, a hand suddenly stretched out from the camera lens. Miss Bodyguard in her black regal dress slowly came out and floated in midair again. But her face remained pale. Thinking of how he had led her to watch some porno, Klein tried to change the topic. In embarrassment, "I plan on heading to the cafeteria to eat something. Do you want to come with me?" Each member could bring one guest. As for how to explain the sudden appearance of the guest, Klein's plan was to go out for a while and then come back. Miss Bodyguard replied in a neutral tone, "I can go without eating for 2 weeks." As she spoke, she turned her back to Klein and floated toward the mirror, disappearing in an instant. What exactly is her sequence? Klein thought curiously, putting the portable camera back in its case. After doing all of this, he went to the bathroom and relieved himself. After washing his hands and wiping his face, Klein looked into the mirror and examined his appearance. As he hadn't shaved this morning, he had quite a stubble. His hair was parted to the sides in a 3:7 ratio, and a pair of gold-rimmed glasses hung on his face. He looked refined and scholarly, with a tinge of maturity. There's a definite difference from the past. I can still be recognized if scrutinized. Once my beard grows to a certain extent, I wouldn't have to worry. That much I wouldn't need to be afraid of anything when I advance to sequence 6. Faceless Klein took out his golden pocket watch, opened it, and walked out of the bathroom. He took his suitcase and went to the cafeteria on the first floor. It was just after 9, so breakfast was still served. Klein chose a double-sided, half-cooked fried egg, a loaf of white bread, a cake of butter, a desi pie, a serving of bacon, and a cup of murky black tea with a piece of lemon floating on its surface. While looking for a seat, he suddenly saw a familiar face. It was the surgeon who had recommended him to the club, Aaron Series. The tall, thin gentleman was sitting alone in the corner, having finished his breakfast, and was sipping his coffee as he leafed through the newspaper. "Good morning, Dr. Series." Klein walked over and greeted the slightly cold Aaron. The surgeon nudged the frame over his nose and said, "Just call me Aaron, Detective Moriarty. According to the principle of reciprocity, you have to call me Sherlock." Klein sat down. "Any news today? I came out in such a hurry that I haven't read the newspapers. The Intis ambassador was assassinated. A terrorist organization by the name of the Aurora Order declared responsibility for it. Sigh, this world is becoming more and more chaotic. Sooner or later, there will be an all-out war in the southern and northern continent." Aaron expressed his feelings. "The war has never stopped, sir. It's just that we've been able to enjoy peace." Klein finished his fried egg and replied with a smile. "What a pity that such an important case wouldn't seek the help of private detectives like us." Aaron flipped through the newspaper. "This news doesn't have much to do with us. What's really important is that the House of Lords and the House of Commons will pass a motion either today or tomorrow after a long debate. First, it's the Civil Servant Unified Examination Bill, as well as the relevant guidance and actual plans. Second is the establishment of the Atmospheric Pollution Council. And third, the establishment of the Independent Alkaline Industry Inspector, the latter to involve pollution. God, they're finally paying attention to this problem. The patients in the hospital with pulmonary attacks have been rising constantly. Has it finally been passed? I wonder how Benson's preparations are. Will it be affected by my death?" Klein's smile suddenly beamed. "That's good news. To Mary, this is extremely good news. She wishes to make herself, or her husband, Doragoo, become one of the members of the National Atmospheric Pollution Council. She has a higher chance since she doesn't hold any positions in a commercial company and is a devotee of the goddess. Besides, in any organization, there's ultimately a need for balance." Aaron mentioned Klein's employer. "I suggested to her that she should frequent the club since we have quite a number of House of Commons members of Parliament as club members. In the Lone Kingdom, the members of Parliament of the House of Commons were mainly composed of wealthy people and the representatives of certain nobles. However, there were also many professionals, such as doctors, lawyers, priests, teachers, scientists, and accountants. The Quelaw Club targeted a variety of professionals in the middle class, without distinguishing between them by their political inclinations. Klein didn't know much about such things, so he just said a few words in response before changing the subject. Aaron, it's Friday today. Don't you need to head back to the hospital? No, I'm on leave. It's been terrible lately. Aaron suddenly frowned. What happened? Klein drank a mouthful of black tea. Since Bickerlin had just been assassinated, and Rasago's body had been thrown into a sewer far away, he didn't know when it would be found. Klein was concerned about the after effects and the imperfection of his disguise, so he didn't plan on taking missions that were too difficult or easily exposed his identity. Therefore, he was interested in simple matters which held potential and handsome rewards. Aaron put down the newspaper and sighed. I've been very unlucky recently. I've had a few consecutive failed surgeries. Fortunately, there were no serious consequences. Otherwise, my license would have been revoked. Although it wasn't big news for surgeons to cause deaths in the present era, since it was common, the penalties were still quite severe if a serious accident occurred due to a surgeon's negligence. Well, I can't help much. Actually, I know of a luck enhancement ritual, but its effect is to send you above a gray fog. Klein lowered his head and began to nibble at his bread. After breakfast, he said goodbye to Aaron, went to withdraw 500 pounds in cash, and gave 300 pounds to Miss Bodyguard before returning home. While waiting for the photos to develop, he hoped for a simple job to be entrusted to him. Unfortunately, none of them came to him. In the evening, Klein prepared to head out again, his target Bravert's bar. Taking the opportunity of having Miss Bodyguard around, he hoped to get in touch with more Beyonder circles.